Hi.
Short Bus Debate Club. It's a bus rolling.
I can get on board. Hello, I'm Darren Jolly.
It's time to get this short bus started. So let's roll and on with the show. Greetings, everyone. This is Brian Courtney with Short Bus Debate Club. I'm sure that you've probably been missing these episodes where Darren and I just talk shit. Speaking of Darren, he's across the table from me.
You know, you're never going to be Walter Cronkite.
I'm not.
Hello, everybody.
So the last, I don't know, what was it, 7, 8 episodes?
Eight, yeah.
We did nothing but interviews with third party, well, no, I don't think we had any candidates. We were supposed to have a couple of candidates, but that didn't happen. So we've been interviewing third parties, and this is where we kind of give our summation, and we talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, what we liked, what we didn't, all of that good shit.
And maybe shed a little light on why we're going down this. I mean, we've alluded to it in other spaces, but give a more concrete expression of why we think this is important.
Yes, I think that is probably fair to say that we will do. You guys have heard me use the word Demopublican on multiple occasions, and I prefer that term to what all these other assholes call duopoly, but they're the same thing. Basically saying that Democrats and Republicans are the same party. They're out to basically fuck everybody but themselves. And not the good fuck, but like a really shitty, no lube, I'm gonna hurt you fuck.
Not consensual at all.
Right.
We're not consenting to this.
So, I don't know. What do you have a starting point in mind?
No, I mean the first thing that I just like to say, since we did start doing that, and Brian was reaching out and cold calling all these different parties. I just quickly give a shout out to the Alliance Party, the Reform Party, the Constitution Party, the American Solidarity Party, the Center Party, the Approval Voting Party. Frank and Blake, you're fucking hilarious. The Independent American Party, which is a non-party party. Lonnie, a little unique individual there. And Joe and Margaret and Craig from the Green Party. Brian reached out. Some of them responded very quickly. The Green Party folks definitely responded very quickly. The Approval Party folks responded very quickly. There were people that were anxious to, get into discussions and sort of our intention was not to just totally pound on them. Although there's a little bit of you got to do a little pounding. I mean, just because you're not, you need to have a discussion, but. We really wanted to create a space where these parties that are, for the most part, totally invisible in the current political electoral environment, we wanted to give them a space where they could sort of frame their party platforms, talk about where they get their money from, how they develop their candidates, how they will resolve certain policy positions. But and I'll let Brian really go off on some of these other folks, but. We've reached out to everybody. We reached out to the Socialist Party, the Communist Party. You did you reach out? You reached the Forward Party? Did you reach out to them at all? Andrew Yang and those?
No, I did not call the Forward Party. We contacted libertarians, the working families, prohibition, and prohibition.
Democratic Socialist America too, DSA. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I reached out to all of them that I knew of or that I could think of. I mean, I even went so far as to start reaching out to candidates themselves. So with the Prohibition Party, I couldn't get anybody at the Prohibition Party to contact me back, but they had a presidential candidate running. And so I contacted him, and he said he wanted to be on the show, but he was in Italy for 2 weeks, and he's on the East Coast, and he was the one that was concerned because he said he listened to several of our episodes and that his constituency probably would not like the what he called FCC's 7 dirty words.
Which is why things are so nice right now, because fuck the FCC. Like, honestly, we need to be able to have open and candid conversations where, I mean, we're not just totally throwing out things like so liberally that it's like, fuckity fuck 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 or something like that. We try to use, like with my daughter when she was growing up, uh, she approached me about cussing, and I said, I don't care if you cuss as long as you do it at appropriate times and it's in context, and you're not using a word as a verb, a noun, and an adjective at the same time. You have to. So, like, if you're using things like that, then come on, that prohibition guy, he's gotta chill out a little bit.
I agree, and I tried to explain to him that we would run the interviews with courtesy, and that if an expletive was appropriate, we were going to use it.
When we got a track record now, you can't deny this. We didn't. We like
I think we
did
did
what you
well.
just said. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that we were professional, but we're not getting paid for this, so we're very good amateurs.
Yeah, we're professionally non-profitable. Not non-profit. Don't be confused.
But I thought all of the interviews went well. I mean, the Green Party one was kind of a clusterfuck, but that wasn't anybody's fault except for technology, because we had to kind of do some workarounds in order to get it to
It was square
work.
one, and they were very gracious in working with us at that beginning point.
Yeah. So. The one thing that I would say is that listeners, you may or may not feel the same way, but I agreed with something that every one of these parties said. Whether it was a core part of their principles, or whether it was something that was secondary or tertiary, there was something that I agreed with. And like the Green Party, I agree that we need to fix the environment. That's a given. What I disagree with is how they want to fix it, and the fact that they're pushing this Green New Deal so much. I also, and we didn't get into a whole lot of it, like, because it's easy to say, well, we're for the people. We want more jobs, and we want to eliminate homelessness, and we want to do all of this stuff. Well, lots of the parties said that stuff. Nobody really talked about how they were going to do it. I mean, a few of them touched on it. They said if we fix the economy, then homelessness will go away, and we can fix the environment, and we can do all of this other stuff. But the reason that I mention that is because I want you guys to really think about this before this election in 2023. I want you to definitely think about it before the election in 2024. And that is, you're not going to find a candidate that you agree with at 100%, unless maybe you're fucking said candidate. And then even then, it's probably less than 50%. That's just.
Did you really just say that?
Yes.
You're a douchebag, dude. You really are. I'm sure somebody that's listening to us is going to be the significant other, or just maybe the recipient, the catcher, as it were.
Yeah.
What did you say earlier?
Dick sheath.
The dick sheath. Yeah. Maybe, but I don't think that's probably how our listenership is gonna. But I know you always like to be able to say something fucking dumb like that. So.
Well, I mean, yeah, whatever. I mean, but anyway, so you're never going to find a candidate that you agree with 100%. But I'm willing to bet that if you listen to more of what we're doing, because this isn't going to be the end, or at least I hope it's not. If you listen to more, later this year, next year, whenever, then that'll give you some more information. And then you can follow up on specific candidates and find out, how much you actually agree with these people, whether it's Social Security or the environment, the economy, the military industrial complex. It's been a while since I've spoken.
Or even issue stuff like pro-life, pro-choice, or
Right.
gun rights, or whatever it is that you're into. I want to make one just real quick point. Well, 2 points. One will lead into the other. Most of the people that responded to us were conservative. Like most of the people, other than the Green Party, and the American Solidarity Party, you can call them. They're complicated. Like they're conservative on social policy, but they're liberal by whatever fucking measurement that means, in terms of economic questions, and to a range where one of the guys that was talking was using Marxist language, and the other one was basically saying, well, if people are going to have children, we got to make sure that they have like a child tax credit and all this and that. But to sort of illustrate the point that Brian's making, if you listen to them and you look into all these different spaces, you are going to find interesting nuance in what it is that they're doing. A lot of like I said, a lot of the people that responded to us, all of them except for Greens, we had 2 centrist positions, five pretty conservative positions, and then the Green Party. And again, like these are not objective categories, and we can argue about that later. But the conservative positions all were against abortion, right? But one thing that I was really impressed with the American Solidarity folks about was they were very critical of these other spaces of Republicans and of other, the Constitutional Party, some of these other right wing smaller parties. They say that you want to make abortion illegal, but you don't want to create the social space so that a person can, a young lady can have a child and put it up for adoption. So they were really hell-bent on making sure that there were healthcare services available to women, because if you're going to force them to have that child because you're going to make abortion illegal, you need to create that social space so that they're not, to where it's a punishment.
Well, and on that same note, they were pro-life, not just with the abortion issue, but with the death penalty, with murder, with
military,
everything, all the way across the board. Death was wrong.
Yeah, expansionist military fucking bullshit. They were hypercritical of that. Yeah, they universalized it. They weren't just picking. They weren't saying we're in favor. Yeah, we're in favor of life, and then picking and choosing the moments where life is valuable and to be protected. So yeah, that is a very good point. So.
And again, we didn't beat up on any of these people too much. We did kind of dig deeper on some of the questions, but we wanted to create a forum to where they could speak so that you guys would get a better idea of what it is they had to offer. We could have beat up on them. There were a lot of them that I wanted to beat up on greatly. But I didn't, because I didn't feel like that was my place at the time.
Yeah, we were trying to provide a space for them to show the world what their platform is. So now we can beat up on them a little bit while they're not here. So
well, and we can beat up on them a little bit later too, because now we've got more of a rapport, so they kind of understand where we're coming from. One of the guys made an assumption that I was a fucking leftist, which is such horseshit.
Which one said that you thought you were a leftist?
It was the dude that was from Texas. Was
he the education? No, that was South Carolina. That was Jim.
It was the Solidarity Party.
It wasn't. Okay. Yeah, because we had 3 people on, I think, or 2 people on, or something like that during that one.
No, that was a single guy. He was the lawyer who said that he does practices all kinds of different law, but for the most part, it's corporate litigation. And I think he was in Dallas or somewhere south. And
What did you say to make him? How did he even come to that when he let in? I
Because
remember
I
him saying that.
started kind of beating up on him about the abortion thing again.
Oh, because he assumes that anybody that's not pro-life must be.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's so odd, the world that we live in right now. Which is why the American Solidarity Party was. And again, like I'm a Marxist, so I'm not gonna. That's why I'm really fucking irritated at the socialist people and the Communist Party. Like I rewrote two good emails to them that were like we're trying to create a space for everyone to be able to say things, and like I want to hear how they're thinking about party politics in the 21st century from that leftist space. I want to dig into that. I'm interested in that for my own selfish fucking personal reasons.
I'm interested in it because I want to know, and I want the listeners to know, more importantly, because I think that with everything that has happened in the United States and how socialism is such a bad word and how there was this Red Scare and, it's always been no communism, no communism. I mean, we went down to Colombia to fight communism. We went to fucking Vietnam and anywhere we could. We were fighting communism. And so obviously I have an ideal type, but again, I don't think we've truly ever even seen capitalism work or communism, either one, to work the way that they're probably supposed to. Now, I could be wrong about the communism thing, but I'm right about the capitalism one.
I'm not going to go down this rabbit
hole. No, I wasn't asking you to. I was just trying to hear from them to form.
I want to hear how they're saying. Yeah, what they're saying in relation to that.
Yeah, what it is that they're going to bring to us, because really, right now, as far as corporate welfare goes, as far as welfare goes, we're quasi-socialist as it is.
We're straight up socialist.
If you just call it what it is, then why do Congress people still say, "Oh well, we got to get rid of socialism"?
I was when I was doing my stuff earlier today, I was listening to this thing where Nancy Pelosi. So they were giving some shit to, and this was back in 2021 when this happened. But somebody asked, because they've been getting a lot of pressure to stop allowing for insider trading stuff if you're in Congress, and this reporter was pressing Pelosi on this, and this is what her response was. This is a free market. We're a free market economy. People, meaning Congress people, should be able to participate in that. That's what she says. While on the side, her husband is a fucking huge, trader of stocks, and she sits on committees where things come to be known before they get to be known by the general public, and they can invest in things before they go up or dump them before they go down. This is not conjecture. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is an objective fact. There's that's a redundant comment. It's objective. It's a fact. I need to find. There's a guy. He has a Twitter account. I'll find it when you're yammering on about something. But his whole deal is to go and look at the stock trades of people that are in Congress, whether it's in the House of Representatives or in the Senate, to demonstrate the incredible conflicts of interest that go on for all of these assholes.
Well, I've never dug into it so deep that I found out when they're dumping it or when they're getting more or anything like that. But if you look at like a 10K or a corporate report, then you can find all of these names that are not just people in Congress, but people that still, that like fucking 4-star generals and admirals and shit like that are getting fucking stock. And that makes it a conflict of interest. And I know you're aware of this, but I mean, because now it benefits whomever, to go ahead and push that $2 billion budget, you know, for the month of December through, and approve, another 24 billion for next year just to go to the Navy. And I'm making those numbers up.
What do you know? They just made $240,000 with what they. So the name of the Twitter account is unusual_whales.
Whales like the country or whales like the animal?
Whales like the animal. So unusual whales, like unusual_whales. He talks a bunch about he's a congressman out of Silicon Valley, but he's got his own fucking problems. But he definitely has tried to press this forward and create legislation to outlaw it from happening. Of course, it's never going to happen. Something remarkable would have to happen either through the courts or through some other executive. I don't even know I don't know if you could use an executive order to do shit like that. But Unusual Whales is a good place on. I guess it's on X.
Yeah.
To find out about all these unscrupulous stock trades that go on inside of Congress.
Well, and there are a bunch of them, like I said, and a lot of those guys aren't even buying it. They get the stock just cause, kind of like the fucking honorary doctorate or whatever that they give famous people. They get an honorary 200,000 shares.
In the context of the thing that you just said about socialism, it's not stock, but I was reminded of the beginning of Bulworth when he gets 10 million in insurance policies and hires somebody to kill him. Yeah. So that his daughter, and puts the insurance policies in his daughter's name. But the whole point is that you trade, like, through whatever legislation you help to enact, you trade on your position, and you take stocks, or you take health or life insurance, or really lavish trips to all over the world.
And it's not just with because I mentioned military. You mentioned insurance.
The Supreme Court has really been on the fucking, because there have been all kinds of. I told you about that one with Sotomayor, where she won't go to libraries unless they agree to buy $120,000 of her book. You know, I mean, and this is supposed to be one of the most liberal members on the court, so it's important that we understand clearly that this is not a right-left issue. This is something that, if you're a part of the mechanisms that are put in place to reproduce the necessary conditions for people to maintain their positions of power, then all those motherfuckers, even Ruth Bader Ginsburg, they were going back, and her stamp came out on October 2nd, and all these people are going to be so excited about the new Ruth Bader Ginsburg stamp, but she had fucking blood all over her hands too. She was taking money for this and taking money for that, and it's not debatable. I mean, we can choose to look in the corner of the wall and watch the all right, we'll go Play-Doh. We'll look at the shadows on the wall, but I'd rather get myself out of the cave and see what the fuck is really going on. So
yeah, I mean, but it's like I said, you mentioned insurance, I was talking about military, but it's all the way, it's libraries, like you just now said. I mean, it's every little fucking thing that you could think of. I mean, it can go out of control. But here's something else, because just in this first 20 minutes that we've been talking, both of us have used either the term left or right a couple of different times.
Yeah.
And while we were doing the interviews, most of those people not only used the new cutting edge word, the coined phrase of duopoly, but they use left and right a lot. And I want people to quit thinking so much left and so much right. I would prefer people start thinking, well, this is the way that I think, They don't think that way. So maybe this person isn't right for me. And the reason that I say that is because if we continue using left and right, we're never ever going to come together. And if we don't come together, we're
Right now.
never going to get them out.
Yeah, it has to be a universally collective effort. I
Yeah.
mean, if the top 3% control, X amount of the economy, and the bottom 80% control, X minus 75% or whatever, then at some point, you're most of the people that are identifying themselves as left or identifying themselves as right are a lot more like the people in their similar financial space than they are the picture that they have in their head that connects them to Donald Trump or to Joe Biden or to Kamala Harris. Although I can't even imagine anyone saying that they identified positively with Kamala Harris. I'm not sorry about that, you crazy fucking bitch.
So Tom Morello said something that was pretty interesting. Well, he didn't say it. He posted a fucking meme on Twitter, and it was these two people in like a fucking aquarium, and they were fighting with swords, I think. But they may have been shooting each other. I don't know, some sort of fight. And there was a guy that looked like the Monopoly guy, an old rich guy with a fucking monocle, and he was smoking a cigar. And it said that they have us fighting a culture war so that we don't fight a class war. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. I mean, it doesn't entirely have to do with money, but it's money, it's color, it's religion, it's all of these things that they do to keep us segregated from each other because they want us to continue fighting each other so that we don't fight them.
I got to tell you that I think it behooves me to warn you that if you keep making arguments like that, other people are going to identify you with the left as well. And I understand that you're so like it's easy to say to people that the paradigm that they're functioning in terms of like how they identify the certain tendencies inside of a political system or anything else, is is outdated, right? But we don't have an effective paradigm. I mean, you can say, well, this is the way that I think about it, and that one thinks about it like that, and that one thinks about it like that. But how are we going to talk to each other? I mean, we're in horrible need of a new paradigm to talk about these ideas, these concepts. And it isn't like, of course, it's unfortunate that left and right is the way that things get thought of on some
But it's
level.
it's not. I mean, it's left and right. It's black and white. It's Catholic and Protestant. It's all of that shit. And I'm not saying that
We're not
we.
Ireland, though, bro.
No, but it doesn't matter because the Protestants don't like the Catholics here either. I mean, it doesn't have anything to
It's
do with
not
the
quite as
island.
it's not quite as well, not quite as pronounced as I don't think that I ever remember any car bombings happening in the United
No car
States.
bombings, but they do fucking just spew seething hatred at you when you're walking by, just in case you might be Catholic. I mean, when I
This
was
isn't this isn't the fucking Mexican American War, bro. This is not.
no, it's not.
And yeah,
Um,
and yes, back then I would agree with you, but I really don't think that many people. Maybe I haven't been in a ghettoed enough neighborhood. And when I say ghetto, I don't mean poor. I mean this group lives here, that group lives there, that group lives there. I mean,
when I was at Mardi Gras, so New Orleans is pretty heavily Catholic. Um, but the Protestants would set up on the outside of Bourbon
really,
Street, and they had big fucking signs that said Catholics are going to hell.
really.
Yeah, dude, it was fucked up. So I yelled at some guy for at least 20 minutes.
Like
Just
the most atheist person in the world gets into an argument
hammered,
about.
shaking my fucking finger in his face because it wasn't just Catholics that were listed on the thing. It was Catholics, and it was baby killers, and it was fags, and it was all of this. I mean, it was just a fucking billboard of hate all the way across.
And you went to bat for the people.
Fucking A, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah. When you're Black Irish, that's kind of the way things work.
So, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe we can't break the cycle of thinking left and right.
Well, we just need to find, we need to like, and you can't just go to the new paradigm. We need to graduate to it. Like, we need to be arguing with each other enough to where we find what that new social space
See, and
could be articulated
I
as.
know you're going to argue and say that I'm speaking semantics here, but I would just say this. I don't think that we need to completely get a new paradigm. I would say we need to slightly shift or expand because, and the reason that I say this is
What do you mean
because,
by slightly shift or expand?
well, that's what I'm about to explain.
Okay.
You and I have always talked about if you don't know where you've been, then you can't know where you're
You
going,
don't know where
right?
you're coming from. It's a dreadlock Rasta. That's the Buffalo Soldier.
So if we completely change the paradigm, then we're going to leave a lot of people behind that maybe don't know where we've been. So that's why I say expand or shift more than just move to a different paradigm.
It is semantics then, because what I said before was that it's not something that you don't create like that. It has to happen organically, like so that like we're all sort of like, I'm sorry, Janae, but it's like the fish, in water when they're swimming along, and the old fish comes up to them and says, "Isn't the water nice today, boys?" And the young fish shake their heads and go, "Yeah." They swim a little bit further and they say, "What's water?" Right? I mean, because you have to be at that point. You're so embedded, like your consciousness is so embedded. And you're right. If it turns into something where some academic fucksticks construct something and they're like, "This is the new terminology that you need to be using," it can't function like that. It has to be something that comes from within. So, but it needs to be a lot better than like the dualism, like you're talking about. I mean, and that's part of why we are talking about the third party stuff in the first place, right? Because this space where everything is confined to the perception of opposites when they're not honestly opposites at all. They're not even like borderline conceptual opposites. They're constructed opposites inside of a very limited space that defines what is possible and what is not possible. And if you find yourself functioning outside of that, then you're ignoring human nature, or you're uh, somebody who imagines the perfect world, a
Utopian.
utopian, or something stupid like that. It's funny, the little words that I just can't find in my head sometimes, but obviously it's not in the interest of the ruling elite to, because it's much easier to manage, because you have this side, you have that side, but people do get a little bit more intelligent as time goes on. I think that like the demand, so we'll get more into this stuff later, but so Brother Cornel West decided to leave the Green Party, right? He's functioning as an independent now. The word on the street right now is that on October the 11th, RFK Jr. is going to remove his position from the Democratic Party and run as an independent as well. There have been several people that have been hypercritical of anybody deviating from the allotted social space that they're expected to travel in, because any other movement outside of said space, because that person cannot possibly win, is wasted. This is the rhetorical bullshit that Brian and I both wholesale disagree with. But this is something that's happening very fucking organically all of a sudden right now, where um, the failure to function inside of this space, which has a lot to do with the electoral college, a lot to do with how we do our voting. It makes it very, very difficult for multiple competitors. Like, the structure of our electoral system has to, some monumental titanic groundswell is going to have to create a shift here at some point in time. But there's something that's happening right now in that social environment that seems to be leading us to something that will force that paradigmatic shift. But who the fuck knows?
I hope that that's the case. I mean, and I don't know if I really want to read the Cornell West email or not, but I mean, yeah, he did jump the party, and you and I were talking about it before we started recording, and you had a theory, I had a theory, both of them are probably
Part right, yeah.
yeah, at least in part. He may have had a better chance to win with the Green Party because Green had more supporters than just independents do, unless he figures out how to generate just shit tons of money.
Well, what's the highest number that any person getting voted for in terms of overall percentages got voted for in the last? So a Democrat or Republican has won every time in the presidential election since 1860.
Yes.
Right? So if that's the case, over that time period, what is the highest percentage somebody got that wasn't a Democrat or Republican?
For president?
For president.
I would have to dig into it again, but I'm
it.
guessing that it was like 4.5%.
No, it's way bigger than that. Come on, bro.
Oh, you're talking about Perot?
Yeah, like 21%.
Yeah.
Wasn't there 18? It was 18 and a half. I can't remember.
Sorry, I always disallow Perot because of the fact that he was running and then he fucking said I'm gone, and then he was running and then he's gone. And
when we did the Reform Party interview, like I went and looked at a bunch of the pro stuff, he did say I'm not running, but he got written in as an independent on fucking I think it was at 18.6%. I can't remember what the fucking number was, but it's by far and above the biggest percentage that anybody's gotten, and he got it as an independent.
Okay, but then if you're going to talk about Perot, what's the difference between Perot and Cornell West? Perot was fucking loaded.
Yeah, he had a lot of scratch, and he had a lot of people that had scratch on his side. I'm not disagreeing with that. I don't know. I mean, I wish. I mean, Brian reached out to Brother West. We would love for you to come and talk to us lowly, short bus motherfuckers, Professor West. And we're not going to do anything to you like what fucking that bad faith Jimmy Dore did. If I'm going to disagree with you about things on the level that he did, because I'm sort of in it to win it too, I would do that behind closed doors. I wouldn't do that out in public. Because the way that he did it was tacky. He wasn't. I'm not saying that you ask hard questions. Asking hard questions is good, but Jimmy Dore sat there and told him that his platform was a losing platform. He got into this big discussion about like anti-vaxxers or vaccine, and Jimmy Dore was sort of making a weird argument that if this is not his most important issue, then he's going to alienate his base. And I think to be fair to Jimmy Dore, the bigger point that he was trying to make is that sometimes when Cornell West talks, I mean, he's buddies with fucking Slavoj Žižek and fucking Chris Hedges, these guys don't have really lowbrow conversations. So sometimes when he gets all jazzy and he starts listing all these fucking names, most people aren't going to know two of them, So somebody needed to bring his ass back down to earth a little bit. But the way that Jimmy Dore did it was, if you're going to have somebody on, engaging someone is one thing. Tell them that they're
fighting a losing battle.
Yeah, and wagging their finger at them is not. That's kind of a back-assward way of doing things. So come on, Cornell West, respond to Brian. Come and hang out with us for a couple hours. We'd love to talk shit to you.
Well, they do. I mean, they do respond. But see, and this, we can get into this a little more in a minute. But so I sent an email and I didn't call because, they are purposely leaving a lot of the phone numbers to get a hold of people out. So he sent me a form email back. he says the derelict duopoly knows no bounds when it comes to subjugating poor, working class, and vulnerable people to intersecting calamities. President Biden's announcement that he will continue building Donald Trump's border wall is irrefutable proof that both ruling parties are on the same team working against the people. Now, that was just the first 2 lines. There's some more horseshit in there. Again, this is just a form letter from, I'm going to call him a politician, but it's from some asshole that wrote his form letter, whoever that is. I don't think Cornel West actually sat down and wrote this. He may have approved it, but I don't think he wrote it.
Yeah, because every politician that runs for fucking office writes their fucking form letters.
No, that's what I'm saying is that he's a politician, so someone else wrote it for him.
Which doesn't distinguish him from anyone else that's doing what he's doing.
No, I wasn't talking shit in any way except for the fact that it was a form letter.
Carry on.
So I got sidetracked because I had to argue with Dickface about form letters. Now I can't remember what the fuck I was.
Well, you wrote him the emails. You got a response in a form letter. You didn't get any. You didn't get. There's a zone between us and him. So for us to actually make contact with him to be able to get him. To
well, or just someone, his scheduler, or I don't know. In political circles, do they call them bookers? Whatever. Somebody to, say, hey, well, we can't be on the show, but here are the answers to your questions, or anything along those lines. But so my concern, not with Cornel West as much as with the others, is that.
Who told you had COVID? What was the one that told you had COVID?
That was the Socialist Party.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Let me double check. And then I followed up with all of the people in the Socialist Party.
And they didn't respond either. Yeah, it's very disappointing. And
that was kind of where I was going, is that, it's fine to send a form letter. At least we got a form letter from Cornel West. The others just didn't fucking respond at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned it on one of the shows without talking, or on one of the interviews without naming these parties specifically, because I figured it was bad form to do so when we were talking to someone that could possibly be their competition,
Well, but I mean, that's why what we're doing right now is important, because this is not about us picking and choosing who we want to provide a platform for at all, period. Not at all. Anybody, any party that wants to come on, if you're the fucking, if you're a retarded, dumb fucking asshole from some sort of white supremacist Ku Klux Klan party, we'll let you come on. Yeah, we're gonna probably grill you a little bit more than we do other people, because that's a little bit weird. But okay, a lot bit weird. David Duke, if you come on the show, is he live still? He
did that fucking show just a little while ago. I thought it was David Duke and somebody else, and everybody was given Cynthia, the black lady from the Green Party.
McKinney.
Yeah, Cynthia McKinney, because she had posted, I can't wait for this. And I don't know if it was real because she was excited, or if it was real because she was wanting to moderate it, or if it was real because she wanted to troll it. I don't know, but everybody was thrashing her because David Duke and I can't remember the Muslim's name, but they were both talking about, and then, all of the anti-Semitic this and anti-Semitic that.
Motherfuckers who are sitting behind their fucking computers talking shit about Cynthia McKinney. Cynthia McKinney was a socialist in the fucking Congress before any of you motherfuckers even thought about it. So you cannot fucking talk shit to Cynthia McKinney. Fuck all y'all.
Yeah.
You're a dick.
So, David Duke is still alive.
Yeah, and unfortunately, but that's a hateful thing to say. Yeah, it is a hateful thing to say. But if David Duke was in a party and he wanted to come on here, we would we would platform them, because we've provided everybody in the world with this, that we've tried. We tried to get, the Working Families Party. I mean, come on, you guys aren't so fucking. And if your response is, we don't think that that's worthwhile because most of our stuff is done through like direct action or something like that, where we think about it more in terms of like an activism kind of thing, then just tell us that. Just give us a fucking response. Don't fucking look. I don't mean to be a dick, but I'll take the Pepsi challenge with most of y'all. I've read a lot of Marx. I can go the fucking miles with you. So
Did your arm hurt?
yeah, the books are heavy. Is that what you're saying?
No, I meant from patting yourself
on the back. Oh, it's not about me patting myself on the back. It's about me trying to create a space where I think that a lot of the time, leftists can be kind of fucking provincial. They're kind of fucking snotty.
Well, and that's so I understand. Maybe they thought that we weren't communist enough or socialist enough, or we were too politically incorrect, or we cursed too much or whatever. But even the fucking prohibition guy said, do you guys have to cuss all the time when we're on the interview? I mean, our constituency won't like it. He didn't end up on the show,
But he talked to us.
but he responded. And my concern is that these people aren't responding when they're not even fucking running for anything. So what the fuck is going to happen when they are, or when they get in office?
Yeah. I mean, just give us a response. Maybe I should try to get Shaman Swan. She's a city councilwoman in Seattle, she's affiliated with Social South China. I'm not sure what she ran under. She's been on there for like 14 years. She's very doctrinaire with her Marxism. I don't love that, but again, like, we would just ask her questions and let her tell us what her
that's the thing.
Yeah,
I mean, because this is for, and it would do nothing except benefit them. Because one, we're not trying to charge them, and two, it's a free fucking outlet that we're not taking the episodes down. So it's going to be up from now until the next election and the next election after that.
And I'm going to hurt my arm again, but we have people that listen in London. We have a couple people that have listened in India. We had some Filipino listeners. I mean, we're global, baby.
Well, if I had to guess, I would say that those guys are military anyway, which again would benefit them, because the military people can vote.
And if you're just talking to your uppity leftist individuals, then that you're siloing yourself at that point. I mean, and that's reactionary, motherfuckers. That is not revolutionary. And if you want to fucking come on here and talk to me about that, I will be more than happy to.
Yeah, it's just like if sports, boxing, or pool, foosball, whatever, and I'm thinking more like one-on-one type sports, but if you continue beating that same person over and over again, and you don't play anybody else when they put their quarters on the table,
you're not growing.
Right. So if all you're doing is talking to the fucking people that are going to vote for you anyway, then you are a fucking retard and you deserve to lose.
And if you try to say that because we're talking to each other all the time, and because we've known each other since I was fucking for 34 years, then obviously you haven't listened to anything that we say, because we fucking shit on each other all the time.
A couple of times during this episode.
Yeah. It's been a while. We haven't been able to have the fecal spectacle for a bit.
No. So I know I want to get into more specifics per party, as far as what I liked, what I didn't. But we are at about 50 minutes right now. So
let me
do you want to just continue this banter and then do another episode here in a minute with us talking about what was good and bad from the parties?
Let me do my little Crystal Kyle Brianna Joy Gray thing for a second.
Yes, okay. That works.
And then we can go into the specifics on the party. Okay, so at the first week of September, it was done both through Crystal Kyle and Friends and Bad Faith Podcast. A discussion over And to sort of couch it, they all identify as leftists. Crystal and Kyle, who do that show together, they're recently married, which may or may not be germane to what it is that I'm saying here. I have to say, and this is kind of a backhand, and I'm sorry about this, Crystal, but I think that your fucking husband's putting shitty fucking brainworms into your head, because you didn't used to make these like narrow analytic arguments quite so much. But given that, what I'm speaking about specifically with regards to narrow analytic arguments, the discussion was about, because Cornel West had thrown his hat into the ring, and anybody that's on the left knows who Cornel West is. When I was in one of my first upper division classes in the 97, I think, it was the second section. I took the second section before I took the first section, because I just wanted to go take this class, and it was called Revolution Social Change 2. The first thing that I had to read in the class was a dialogue between Cornel West and Bell Hooks. So, like, I was exposed to him forever ago. He's a thoughtful, like, interesting, like he identifies himself as a Christian, but like working class. He's got marks in the back of everything that he says. Samuel Beckett, of course, fail again, fail better. So either way, everybody that's on the left has a place in their heart for Cornel West, for the most part. I haven't heard anybody ever actually say a bad word about the guy on the left. Well, I mean, now that he's running for president, all kinds of people are critiquing everything that he does. But prior to that, when he was just this sort of like academic, nobody ever really said anything horrible about him, because he's very likable, he's very thoughtful, he's very empathetic, and he can kind of like, bring you into his world, and it like feels good when you're thinking about shit. But the discussion was about whether or not voting for a third party was a good thing, whether or not you needed to vote for a Democrat, or vote for Biden again. So it really is just, does it make sense to vote for Cornel West in what Kyle and Crystal were identifying as a losing battle? Kyle made a bunch of arguments about how surprised he was about the number of things that Biden had done during his presidency that he did not expect him to do, because he was talking about like his policy positions in the past, with whether it had to do with the crime bill, the way that he's done things to make bankruptcy more difficult because of his relationship to credit card companies. I know that he had something to do with the not allowing the discharge of student debt. I think I remember that being said. So he was a prime neoliberal who really was creating the basis for like a disciplined state, whether it came discipline from finance or discipline through criminal activity. So Kyle was making all these points about how he was surprised, and he had done a bunch of good things. They talked a lot about the National Labor Relations Board rulings that they've made, and the suggestion by both of them was that you need to look at his track record. And Bree came back pretty hard against this and made a bunch of points that I'm not going to get into them here a ton. There was a lot of discussion at the beginning about student loan debt and Biden's failure to deal with this in any concrete way for the vast majority of people that hold this debt. But that was really just sort of a sidetrack. But there was an argument that Crystal made around the little after the 18-minute mark, that I want to bring up because it's a total bastardization of history. It's a bastardization of how you should think about social transformation writ large. And this is what she said, and it just, give me a minute here real quick, get back to that spot on my computer. No, don't do that to me. There we go.
You got it?
Yeah, I do. Okay. What we have here is a tactical disagreement. Our political aims are ultimately very similar, but I do not but I do think that the student loan debt example is instructive because it shows what has been effective in terms of securing real gains versus what has been ineffective. Jill Stein running in 2016, I don't think that she was a spoiler, but the Democratic Party thinks she was a spoiler. They put that out to the public. So, in the theory of change, where a third party would force all of this revolutionary change on the Democratic Party, that should have worked. But instead, it served to allow the Democratic Party to basically demonize and dismiss third party efforts, and then they prop up Joe Biden. So that definitely didn't work. However, the fact that Joe Biden has to be on the primary stage versus Bernie and Marianne, a whole lot of Elizabeth Warren, a whole lot of other people who were pushing him on the student debt loan cancellation, forced him in a position of doing something when he would have 100% not done anything otherwise. And we can see that now because that fact that they have basically like blocked any sort of democratic process within the Democratic Party, and that's made it possible for him to literally promise nothing for the next term thus far. So you can see how the third party effort was not successful in bringing about whatever revolutionary change people want to see. And the process that Bernie engaged in and that Marianne Williams is engaging in now was far more effective in actually delivering results. And that's what I'm focused on. Okay, that might be the fucking worst argument that I've ever heard in my life.
But wasn't there was something else about scientifically proven or something, right? That really pissed you off.
I'm still re-listening to
Okay.
it. I'm trying to get back to the scientific part, but that's what she's saying. This
Yes.
works. That doesn't work. Look, would Martin Luther King have been as effective if you didn't have Malcolm X in Harlem? Would Malcolm X have been as effective if you didn't have the Black Panthers in San Francisco in Oakland spreading into other parts of the world? And on top of that, all of the different things that came out of that, the SDS, the Weather Underground, the Crusade for Justice, the Mexican National Liberation Movement, the Puerto Rican Independence Movement guys, the New African Peoples Organization, which turned into the one that Ahmed Obafemi's son Jr. is I think he's still probably chairing down in Jackson, Mississippi today. To even posit that the reason why Biden was pressured to do certain things were because of these narrow moments when he had to stand on stage, and that's what affected social change, is obnoxious. What affects social change is several things happening at the same time to create pressure to put that. I mean, it's like why Mercury goes quicker sometimes than other times because it's so close to the fucking sun. When you create that degree of pressure in a social space in a conscious way, not just like this riotous fucking haphazard crazy, but when everybody's thinking and focused and trying to direct things, weird shit can happen. So to think that all of these things that are sort of emerging through if in fact, because he hasn't done it yet, but if in fact RFK Jr. does announce his defection from the Democratic Party to make an independent run, that's more important than the Cornel West thing right now, at least in terms of historical space, because
the name, the money,
and yeah, both of those things, and the fact that the structure of the system gets undermined because RFK Jr. is going to take from both Republicans. We're not going to say left and right. He's going to take from both Republicans and he's going to take from Democrats. And he's going to take a shitload of fucking independents at the same time. He may very well help to create a space to change the entire system in the U.S. And it's not him. I'm not going to make the same mistakes she makes. It's not going to be him by himself. It's going to be Cornel West doing what he's doing with the heavy duty left stuff at the same time. It's going to be all of these people who are still not going to vote for either the Republicans or the Democrats because they're so disaffected by the options that are being given to them in the form of either Trump or Biden. You cannot force feed things to people all day long and expect that they're not going to start looking for their own solutions. So when I look at this ridiculous argument where Crystal tries to pass off an extremely complicated moment when, and it wasn't just that, all the stuff that developed out of it with Black Lives Matter, the fact that people were in the streets clashing, the fact that that dumb motherfucker went up to fucking Illinois and shot those fucking people, all of the different things that are leading to that moment where the explosion happens and the change has to occur. It isn't because three people were standing on a stage with Joe Biden and they put pressure on him to do it. It's because in 2021, Zizek went on Bree's show, and part of the reason why I like Bad Faith so much is that Brianna Joy Gray is a work in progress. She's not done. She's trying to find, because she wants a solution. She wants the world to be a better place, and she wants to participate in making that happen. And she's very self-critical in relation to how she does it. Now, she's a fucking lawyer, so she gets caught up in that analytic shit a little bit too much. But having said that, she recovers really, really well a lot of the time. And she had one of my favorite guys, Slavoj Žižek, on there. That was her Christmas present to the people from Bad Faith, and that was a wonderful Christmas present as far as I was. It's the only thing I remember getting for Christmas that year. I don't remember anything else, but they were talking about the vote blue no matter who stuff, and she's like, when is the next person that the Democrats are going against not going to be identified as an existential threat that you can't allow to be elected because they're going to destroy everything in the world that we're, this is the argument they've been making since Bush, Bush 2, the Royal Day, the Democrats to try to keep us all herded into this very narrow space. And Bree keeps asking Zizek, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And finally, Zizek says, we have to do everything. And that's a very simple answer, but if you think about it, it's the most complicated answer. And it's the answer that people have to start thinking in terms of, to where you were making sports metaphors earlier. Like, it's like the UFC, you have to have your jiu-jitsu, you have to have wrestling, you have to have Muay Thai, you have to be able to strike, you have to be able to wrestle, you have to do fucking everything, and you have to be able to counter everything at the same time. But that means that you're conscious of all the different things that are happening in that moment, so that when you take the money shot, it's done, it's over, and you move on to the next one. If we were thinking about strategy socially like that, just on the simplest level, to where we're not talking about things from the perspective of left versus right, where our economic dispositions draw us together, to where we're understanding that, poor black people and poor white people that are hating on each other, or whatever category you want to go through, you start strategizing as part of a whole, and you do it to where you don't get these one-track minds where you're going to just say, well, we need to get somebody on stage to argue with the person that's going to be president, and they're going to say these things, and it's going to force him to have to say these things publicly, and then there's going to be policy that's going to develop out of that, and incrementally the world will get better and better and better and better. No, right. This is not the way that the world works.
Policy, to my recollection, has never been developed based on something a president said on stage.
Yeah. No.
Never, ever. Most of the time, people are fucking pissed off 2 years later saying, he said he was going to do this.
I got a good example. Read my lips. No new taxes. Right. He got fucking crucified for that statement, dude. The Constitution Party came into being because of that shit that he said. So.
Yeah, that is just kind of a horseshit argument to say that Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders and whoever the other
Marianne Williamson was, because Marianne's running this time. Marianne was the officiant at their wedding, so they have to make these token comments about.
But there's no way that. First of all, I don't even think that. I don't know as much about anything about her, for that matter. But Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, they're not putting pressure on fucking anybody to do anything. So it's just such a horseshit argument. I didn't even listen to the show, and it pissed me off when you told me about it.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. And
Especially because so what you just read was horseshit.
uh-huh,
But when you told me
the science thing
the science thing, the thing that bothered me about that is that first of all, you can't say it's been proven.
about social sciences at all.
Right, because well, there are a couple of fucking missing pieces. One, not 100% of the people voted. So you don't know what will happen if we go over 66%.
And not 100% of the people were paying any attention to what those people were saying when they were on stage.
Right. Probably
Very, you and me, because we're fucking super dorks.
probably very few
Yeah.
of the 100% of the voting population were paying attention.
That's why, like, Crystal didn't used to make arguments like this. Like, I quit listening to Kyle a while ago because, for one thing, he always makes it about himself. I said it first. I thought it first. Dude, if you're making arguments like that, then you're spending too much time worrying about being first. It doesn't matter who was first. It matters that we get to a place where we're getting shit done. I'm not trying to give you a backhand right now.
No, I was just trying to think of the episode. I was gonna say maybe he should go back and listen to the one where we were talking about not megalomaniacs, but
Oh yeah, yeah. We were. Narcissism.
yeah.
That was a funny episode. I forgot
So
about
he
that
should go back
episode.
and listen to the fucking narcissist episode.
I said it first. Nobody else was making that argument other than me. He said it like 20 fucking times, dude, in that fucking 2 hour. It was hour and 45 minutes. I mean, it was a long time, but to say it 20 times, that's pretty fucking self-important, you know?
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't listen to most of the shit you tell me I should. Not
You only listen
because
to half of the things that I say to you. How are you going to listen to the things that I send you to listen to on Rumble and YouTube and all that shit?
I've been reading more of what Brianna Joy Gray says or at least posts. And most of that is accidental, just because
Oh, they
somehow
think you're
she ends up on my fucking feed.
because they think you're a Marxist, and she's not even a Marxist. That's funny too. Like
Well, no, it's because of all of the since we started following all of those different political
the
parties
third party
on
stuff and all that.
the third parties for the Short Bus
Because
Debate Club site,
she watches that stuff too.
because she posts and apparently some of the people that are following whichever party,
Follow
they
her.
end up following her and then they respond to something she posted. So I've been reading some of what she says. You know, again, I'm never going to agree with anybody, and not that she's a politician, but some of the stuff she says I will agree to with.
Do you have any examples?
No,
I didn't think so.
no. Um, because nothing was so moving that it stuck in my head.
So I agree with you, but you didn't really move me at all.
Right.
I might have had to go and have a movement, but
Well,
that may have been unrelated.
I just know that like a lot of times when I'm reading something, I'll be like, yeah, she's probably about half right on that. And some of them I'm like, what the fuck is she talking about? And I just keep scrolling. So
Yeah, whatever. I mean, it isn't about. I mean, I just find it odd that like people maintain such an affection for party positions as it relates to. I mean, like whether it's the Republicans, the people that identify as Republicans disdain for Biden and Hunter Biden and trading on your dad for favors and the fact that he's incredibly hypocritical and a total fucking like corrupt ass motherfucker, or you think that Trump is the Antichrist. Like, why we something has to again something. I hope that RFK announces it. I hope that this is not about whether he wins it or that one wins it or that one wins it. What it's about is, you know, if there's what did Mao say? If there's chaos, under heaven, then everything's working right. I mean, like, we need a little bit of that right now. We need to start having other possibilities being put out in front of us, to where it's not just to where the third party and the other something more like I'm not gonna say, I don't know if I want to say a parliamentary, I don't know, but to where it opens up to where we're allowed to have more dynamic ways of thinking about the world that we're living in, and how we can express that through political parties. But that's limited in its own right, but that's a different discussion for a different day.
Yeah, and so is the whole RFK thing, because I might vote independent. I've never been a straight ticket voter ever.
Uh-huh.
I voted for the ones that I thought would benefit me and those around me the best. So sometimes I voted Democrat, sometimes I voted Libertarian, Republican, Independent, whatever. But the RFK thing, because of what I saw him say on that fucking environmental documentary, I don't think that I would vote for him.
That was 2013.
Was it that long?
Yeah.
Okay, then it doesn't matter, because we're almost about to blow up anyway. Fuck it. Vote for him.
I won't vote for him for a number of other reasons. Like his position on Israel is real problematic as far as I'm concerned. So I'm canceled in like a million different places for saying that. Like, people will burn me at the stake.
Right, they'll call you anti-Semitic.
Anti-Semitic, yes, of course, yes. I'm a rabid anti-dentite. That's what I am, actually. Okay. You rabid anti-dentite.
So yeah, and I've never listened to Crystal or Kyle.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I think that you should listen to Breaking Points every now and again, because Sagar's kind of funny, dude, and he's a really weird person who identifies more in that sort of like complex social libertarian wing. I don't think that he identifies. I've never even heard him like he identifies himself as a populist in some moments, but
I don't think anything I would do would be considered popular. And most of the shit that I say is not popular.
I didn't say popular. I said populist.
I know.
So what does popular have to do with?
Never mind, dude. I was just kind of fucking with you, because when you're on the stump, you have a tendency to try and be as popular as you can be so that you can get a vote. That's all I was saying.
Oh, you were making fun of candidates.
Yes.
Okay. You got to get quick. You got to get to the punchline quicker, dude.
Sorry, I'll slow things down a little more.
No,
but
speed them up.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I know. So we're at like an hour and 15 minutes, I think.
All right, I think it's time to go and roll up a tobacco. I don't roll weed. I haven't smoked weed regular since I was 19. My brain falls right out my ear.
But are we gonna do another episode real quick talking about the third party stuff, or should we wait? Or
no, we're gonna finish everything tonight, I think.
Okay. All right. Well then, next episode is gonna be us talking about what we talked about with the parties.
720-334 roll.
shortbusdebateclub@yahoo.com.
See you in a minute.
We'll talk to you soon.